Over in the pages of DC Comics, the publisher is currently in the midst of their Knightterrors storyline, in which new DC villain Insomnia has plunged the Earth into a deep slumber, while he searches for the Nightmare Stone in the dreams of the various DC Universe characters. Over in the pages of Knightterrors Green Lantern issue 1, we got to see Hal Jordan face off against some of his greatest nightmares like Parallax. But that was nothing compared to what former Green Lantern villain Sinestro was going through over in his portion of the series. My name is Araco Braddock, and today, let's go ahead and see how much progress Jordan and Sinestro are able to make in escaping their nightmares over in Knightterrors Green Lantern issue 2. Before we get deeper into the video, I want to encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the like button over on this video. Even Sinestro has something to fear. As Hal Jordan is swallowed by the nightmare wave, Earth's Green Lantern shows this new malevolent threat, what a man with the willpower to overcome fear can do. Meanwhile, as Sinestro grapples with the terrifying new dreamscape he's trapped in, we take a psychological roller coaster ride through his darkest fears and most painful regrets. Knightterrors Green Lantern has 2 stories. The first one is called Doorways, written by Jeremy Adams, featuring art from Eduardo Pansica, Jordi Tarragona, and Julio Ferreira. The colors for the issue are coming in directly over from Luis Guerrero with letters by Dave Sharpe. And here's a look over at the cover on Knightterrors Green Lantern 2 coming in from Lucio Parrillo. Really appreciate this vivid cover showcasing some of the nightmarish imagery that readers can see within the pages of Knightterrors Green Lantern issue 2. Want to extend a big thank you to Adventures in Poor Taste for posting this preview here. And I want to kick things off by talking about some of the artwork within Knightterrors Green Lantern 2. This issue featured a bevy of artists once again here, including Eduardo Pansica, Jordi Tarragona, and Julio Ferreira. I really think that some of the items that Julio Ferreira and Eduardo Pansica lent to the issue are just absolutely wonderful and capture so much of the details and nuance for characters like Hal Jordan as he faces off against one of his greatest fears, Parallax, over in the storyline. In terms of the script over on Knightterrors Green Lantern 2, I think this issue falls just in line over with the first chapter, as Hal Jordan is directly facing some of his fears and going up against the Parallax cliffhanger that we left off with. Watching some of Hal's confrontation over with Parallax showcases just how confident he's come as a character. I would say it's really thrilling to check in over on this portion of the issue and kind of contrast it with some of these Sinestro sequences, because I think it's very clear that Hal and Sinestro are in much different places in terms of their characterization, and really appreciate how Alex Segura and Jeremy Adams both write into that concept throughout some of their respective stories. Also, I'm still intrigued by how closely Knightterrors Green Lantern is involved over with the kind of core comic book series, and the way this series leaves off is yet another fascinating way to dive right back into the next issue of Green Lantern next month. So very curious as to where that's headed, and just really appreciate where this title leaves off. Another aspect here that I think is captured just so well is the way that some of the art switches depending on some of the sequences throughout the story. When some of the Parallax content is concluded over in the issue, the art switches yet again here. So I think despite the fact that we have so many different individuals contributing to the art on Knightterrors Green Lantern, there's still a shocking level of cohesion upon the series. Knightterrors Green Lantern is also continuing the second story called Shards from the Looking Glass, written by Alex Segura, featuring art from Mario Foccillo, colors from Prasad Rad, and letters from Dave Sharpe. The Shards from the Looking Glass tale is a great way to flesh out some of the complicated nightmarish imagery that Sinestro is currently experiencing in his portion of Knightterrors. I love the fact that the imagery coming in over from Mario Foccillo continues to kind of deliver that really horrifying look into Sinestro's mind. Alex Segura did such a great job matching some of those visuals with really conflicted and just horrific dialogue and captions over from Sinestro throughout this tale. Also, I think the imagery really kept readers guessing here as the tone switches to be a little bit more hopeful as the issue continues. So, love the fact that Alex Segura and Foccillo are kind of straying away from their initial tone to capture something a little bit different over in this tale. I think the final page also delivers a plot twist. Readers have really seen Sinestro become challenged just mentally throughout Night Terrors, and watching him finally find some resolve in the midst of all these horror he's going through is a great way to pay off some of the complicated and horrific feelings from Sinestro. I also really appreciate the fact that I'm this invested into his character when he hasn't yet gone up against Green Lantern, and while he's still kind of forming his new status quo over in this series. Really have to hand it to this creative team and DC's editorial for implementing this Sinestro material, because I think it's made Night Terror's Green Lantern feel like just a little bit more than your average throwaway comic book tie-in. So at the end of the day, I think Night Terror's Green Lantern offered an intriguing look at where both Sinestro and Hal Jordan are currently at in terms of their status quos. When I think back over on Night Terror's Green Lantern, I think I'm going to look really fondly over at the Shards from the Looking Glass story, watching the first kind of sneak peeks at Sinestro that have been teased in the main Green Lantern title has been really enthralling here. I found it really creative how this team essentially left off with their cliffhanger and picked it back up with the main Green Lantern series. Very excited about that, and about just where the future of this franchise is headed next. When I reviewed some of the previous issues of Green Lantern, I was really looking for some big status quo shakeups, and while I don't think this issue has quite what I'm looking for, it's a great way to kind of deliver some interesting stopgaps in the midst of what I hope is going to be an explosive run over on Green Lantern. I want to know from you, what were some of your thoughts over on Night Terror's Green Lantern as a whole? And what do you think about where we left off over with Sinestro? Thank you so much for coming to check out our review over on Night Terror's Green Lantern 2, and we'll be back for Green Lantern and DC Comics. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.